All right. After our obligatory musical introduction, good morning. Thank you all for being here. This is the time and place for the Planning Hearing Officer hearing for June 25th, 2025. My name is Nicola Hladi, and I'll be conducting the hearing as the hearing officer today. The Planning Hearing Officer meeting is being broadcast live on Glendale TV, viewable on Spectrum Cable, Channel 6, and AT&T UVerse, Channel 99. The meetings are also streamed live in HD on the city's webpage, glendaleca.gov/live, and on youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, iOS, and Android devices using a free app called Cablecast, choosing Glendale TV from the menu. The meeting will be recorded and archived on the city website for viewing anytime at glendaleca.gov/agendas. And for any public comments or questions during the meeting, for folks that aren't in the room, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting the questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person here in the hearing. Today we have one case involving a discretionary permit application. So I'll introduce the case, but first let me just kind of go over the hearing procedures. So the hearing will proceed as follows. I'll read the description of the application request. I'll read reports, summarized reports received from other city departments and other letters or communications from interested parties. The case planner, Alan Lamberg, will make a brief overview of the case, give analysis, and make a recommendation. The applicant will be called on to present. I believe you're here in the room, stating both name and address, and you'll have 15 minutes to present the case. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and interested parties will be called on after the applicant's presentation to give comment, either in the room or connected by telephone. Again, clearly please state your name and the address, and you have a 3-minute time limit for public comment, either in favor or opposed. And then lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make any closing comments, or if desired, to rebut or provide a response to testimonies given by the preceding speakers, and that rebuttal period has a 5-minute time limit. After that point, the hearing will be closed and the case will be taken under submission. Findings. If the evidence presented in the application and the hearing meets the required findings set forth in the Glendale Municipal Code, then the project can either be approved or approved with conditions. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. Appeals. Under the provisions of our decision, after the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and it will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses and have provided their name and mailing address. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. Records of decisions for all projects are also posted online on the Planning Division website. Appeals. Under the appeal provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal must file using the city's online permit portal. For any additional information regarding the appeal process and submittal, please contact the case planner, Alan Lamberg. And public notice. This public hearing was duly notified by Accomplish and done so by the use of public notices, which were mailed to property owners and occupants within 500 feet of the subject property. Notice was physically posted on the site and also placed in the local newspaper. And again, just want to reiterate that the official proceedings of the Planning Hearing Officer's hearing are being televised live and may be viewed online on the city's website, both live and then as an archived recording. So for the case today, we have conditional use permit request, file number PCUP 0041232024. The applicant is V. Joseph Pica for Pica Sullivan Architects. The owner is the Roman Catholic Archbishop of Los Angeles, and I'll give an overview of the project description, briefly summarize which departments provided comments, and then call on Mr. Alan Lamberg to do an overview of the case. So the project description is the applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use permit to expand the Incarnation Parish campus as part of a proposed master plan, 4.46 acre project site, located both in the C3 commercial services zone and in the R1250 high density residential zone. And the proposal includes both the Church of Incarnation, a place of worship, and Incarnation Parish School, a private elementary and middle school, and a preschool kindergarten with a drop-off and pickup area. The proposal itself includes a demolition of the rectory's ancillary 1,560 square foot detached garage and second floor dwelling unit, construction of a 7,135 square foot parish assembly hall and center, and its 1,400 square foot covered arcade, demolition of 100 square feet, an addition of 600 square feet, and an interior remodel to the existing rectory building, and 108 square foot addition and interior remodel to the parish office building. The project includes site improvements such as a new outdoor courtyard, remodeling of a playground, landscaping, lighting, and electrical enhancements. The east parking lot will be reduced from 70 spaces to 42 parking spaces and reconfigured for the new parish center, landscaping, and courtyard. And the west parking lot will remain as is with 138 spaces and also serves as a drop-off pickup area for elementary and middle school and the kindergarten preschool. On the church side, the demolition of the garage will accommodate the new parish center, southeast arcade, and courtyard landscaping. So again, before us today is a conditional use permit request. The improvements to the property will also be subject to design review. That's not what's the subject of this hearing today. So with that, I will pass it off to Mr. Alan Lamberg for a staff presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Planning Hearing Officer Haladi, and I recognize my colleague, Principal Planner Izadi. Good morning, members of the public. My name is Alan Lamberg. I'm the case planner for this project. And yes, the application under consideration is the conditional use permit for a place of worship and a private school and a daycare center, including its drop-off pickup area, were operated at a place of worship at 1001 North Brand Boulevard at the case number we described here. And then the proposal, as the planning hearing officer stated, does indeed code requires in the commercial services zone, the C3 zone, that conditional use permit for a place of worship and a private school, particularly the expansion of such. And in the high density residential zone, the R1250 zone, same for a daycare center, including its drop-off pickup area where operated a place of worship. And the applicant requests approval of this permit to expand the Incarnation Parish campus under a master plan and to maintain the existing west parking lot and its school drop-off pickup operations there. We will detail the master plan components in a moment. The project qualifies as a Class 1 existing facilities because the project involves minor additions and improvements to the existing worship, school, and daycare facilities, including small building expansions and site upgrades within permitted thresholds. Also a Class 3 new construction for about 7,000 square foot parish center within an urban area, which is consistent with zoning, and it is under a 10,000 square foot total threshold, and it provides adequate public services and facilities. It also qualifies for Class 31 historical resource rehabilitation for minor facility modifications that preserve historic integrity with no impact on eligible historic structures. And there are no exceptions to the above exemptions because the project avoids cumulative impacts as the private school enrollment shall remain stable at around 500 students and does not affect historic resources. We're located just north of downtown in the northwest neighborhood of Glendale, bounded by Brand Boulevard, Glen Oaks Boulevard, Central Avenue to the west, and partly Dryden Street to the north. And the majority of the project is in the C3 zone, with the west parking lot and drop-off area in the R1250 zone. Here we see the site plan, existing and proposed. The total project spans 2 parcels, totaling almost 4.5 acres. The church and rectory on the southeast 0.67 acre parcel on the southeast corner, fronting Brand Boulevard. And on the 3.79 acre parcel, the remainder of the project site, the private school fronts Glen Oaks, including the daycare center and school building B, and its drop-off pickup fronts Central Avenue, and the west parking lot driveway also fronts Dryden Street. Currently, there are 208 parking spaces, and as proposed, 180 parking spaces will be provided in lieu of zoning required 375 under an AB 2097 parking exception. A parking analysis will be detailed in a few moments. The exterior improvements are undergoing separate design review this July, next month. We see in this photo, to help us orient to the project site, facing Brand Boulevard, the existing rectory, the proposed locations for the new parish center, which will be set back between Brand and the new courtyard, along with the reduced and landscaped east parking lot. The current church and rectory were constructed in 1952 in the PWA modern style by Jean Verge Sr. In this photo, facing Glen Oaks Boulevard, the same architect designed the following buildings. School Building A was constructed in 1937 in the streamlined modern style. Between it and the church was a convent, which in 1986 was converted into the current parish office. Along with Central Avenue is School Building B, also constructed around 1952. Let's get a bird's eye view of those buildings and hear how they relate to the proposed master plan. Now let's walk through the master plan's 8 components, briefly from A to H. A, parish office, existing and proposed, existing here, and then proposed, addressed at 121 West Glen Oaks Boulevard. We see with this arrow that zooms in and points out the 108 square foot addition for public restrooms and an interior remodel, and an outdoor shade canopy on the external premises. Part B, component B, is electrical work, where they remove 2 existing power poles that run north and south, including some undergrounding of electrical service, located between the proposed new parish center and west play yard. For Part C, we see an ancillary demolition of the rectory garage and dwelling unit on the 2nd floor. That garage is about, that building is about 1,500 square feet. And also related to that portion of the project is the rectory itself, where here we have the existing, and as you can see pointed out, proposed the addition, and what it does here is there's a minor 100 square foot bedroom demolition on the main 1st floor, and a 600 square foot addition, and that's why I say it's a net 500 square foot addition. Part D, the new parish center. We see here the 1st floor. This involves construction of this about 7,000 square foot, 2-story, 35-foot high parish center to be addressed at 1001 North Brand. It includes its 1st floor assembly hall and an auditorium with its kitchen, classrooms, and office. Now, for calculating the place of worship's parking demand per zoning code, we count, as highlighted in the blue color there, the about 3,320 square foot meeting room and the 1,400 square foot covered arcade that encompasses the west and south corner of the facility. The 2 classrooms, which is in the separate bubble there, those 2 classrooms there, totaling about 1,600 square foot, they count towards the parking demand for the private school. Now, no other rooms or areas will count because they are accessory and incidental to the church's use. On the 2nd floor, we'll note a 560 square foot plenum, which is an enclosed space for access and placement of HVAC and other mechanical equipment, and the rest of it is open to below. And as you can see in that corner there, in the red dotted line is will be the former site of the rectory garage that will be demolished to make room for the parish hall and its covered arcade. In this aerial photo, let's just orient ourselves for the remainder of the project components. From right to left, we see the existing rectory, the planned area for the courtyard, the new parish center, the east parking lot that will be remodeled, and the west parking lot that will remain as is with its drop-off pickup area and existing storage. The courtyard under Part E is site work that excavates a southern portion of the east parking lot for additional landscaping, for a gathering space between the new parish center and Brand Boulevard. For part component F, we look at the east parking lot, and this is the existing photo, which is mostly pavement. And then this is the proposed site plan, and actually landscape plan, that shows how the remaining north portion of the east parking lot will be remodeled for striping, and that's how we reduce the parking spaces from 70 to 42. And that this project includes new landscaping, new lighting, and closure of 2 driveways, and widening of the remaining 2 driveways. So from the left, you see the existing, and then to the right, you see the reduced size parking lot and the reconfigured driveways and how they relate to the rest of the project. Part G component west parking lot to remain as is with the 138 parking spaces, including that drop-off pickup area for the daycare center and the private school students and the storage facility. Just a photo of the northwest corner of Dryden Street and Central Avenue, and a little detail of the Dryden Street driveway entrance. This storage of the emergency supplies and cargo containers within the eastern setback of the west parking lot is currently non-compliant with the 1995 variance. So all but one container must be removed, with the remaining one screened by landscaping, which is in conformance with the original variance. Any additional storage requires a new variance or a zoning compliant facility with proper approvals. And then lastly, the Part H is the west play yard, site work that remodels it and the outdoor lunch area with a new shade canopy located between School Building B and the new Parish Center. And this is just a brief parking analysis here. This is how to show how we did the math, that the project proposes 180 parking spaces, 138 in the west lot, 42 in the east, down from 208 total. And for zoning code required parking, we've checked the math based on the square feet of uses. And although the zoning code requires 375 spaces, a state transit-oriented exception under Assembly Bill or AB 2097 applies, and there is no increase in use to be planned, particularly with student enrollment, so the reduced parking is expected to meet that demand. Now, looking at findings of fact, the staff report demonstrates that the 4 required findings of fact for conditional use have been made for the project. Finding of fact A, that the proposed continued use will be consistent with the various elements and objectives of the general plan. Notably, it supports community-serving uses such as worship, education, and childcare. It complies with zoning and land use designations. Circulation or mobility is consistent with the established roadway infrastructure. Any noise will be minimized through site design and indoor operations and well-placed buildings that buffer sound. It preserves the site's historic character, and the existing zoning variants for those emergency supply storage areas are addressed through conditional screening and removal of excessive containers. For finding of fact B, which ensures the use will not be detrimental to the public or the environment, the applicant addresses all permit requirements. The parish's long history at the site shows no pattern of negative community impacts. The potential historic resources are maintained using national rehabilitation standards, and urban forestry coordination increases street canopy. For finding of fact C, which ensures that the use is compatible with surrounding uses and properties. And this is actually a note I thought about this morning. Think about how religious institutions have historically shaped cities by serving as spiritual and social and administrative centers. Think about ancient Uruk and the phrase, all roads lead to Rome, to the medieval York, to here, from a humble ranch across the Arroyo Verdugo. This parish's century-long presence and integration into the area supports its continued institutional use. Also, surrounding land uses and churches and schools and multifamily residences and the city facilities are contextually compatible. The master plan expansion introduces modest and ancillary improvements without increasing enrollment, and the conditions of approval ensure campus operates with a minimal disruption to neighbors. Lastly, finding of fact D, which relates to ensuring adequate facilities exist for the use. The site is fully serviced by existing water, power, and sewer lines. There's coordination with Glendale Water and Power and screening of new mechanical equipment. The tree canopy improvements along Brand and revised driveway access improve walkability and local traffic safety. And a vehicle miles traveled VMT analysis and trip generation calculation memo both demonstrate no traffic impacts to ensure integration with existing transportation infrastructure. And although on-site parking will be reduced, the project qualified for a state-mandated parking exception, the AB 2097, and there is no anticipation of significant increase in enrollment or parking demand. And lastly, construction activities will be regulated to protect the public right-of-way. There were no public comments received regarding this case, and the other city department and division comments included recommendations of standard conditions of approval, which are imposed on similar projects. Given the information presented here in the staff report and with the recommended conditions of approval, staff recommends that the conditional use permit be approved. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lamberg. I don't have any questions for now, so I'll reserve them for after the applicant presents. So with that, the applicant has 15 minutes to present. I have 3 speaker cards here. So whoever is ready to come up first and present the case, we can go ahead and get started.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Father Rodel Balagtas, and I am the pastor of Incarnation Church here in Glendale. It's an honor to be with you today as we reach a significant milestone in our entitlement process, a step that brings us closer to a vision years in the making. In 2023, we began our master planning journey with Pica and Sullivan Architects, guided by a singular goal: to create a campus that reflects and serves the evolving needs of our faith community, our parishioners, and our students. Our vision is rooted in our deep connection to the city of Glendale and the legacy we've built together over nearly a century. Today, Joe Pica, principal of Pica and Sullivan, will walk through a plan that honors that legacy while preparing us for the future. As we look ahead to our centennial celebration in October 2027, we do so with gratitude, purpose, and commitment to serving the city for generations to come.
Thank you very much. Hey there.
My name is Joe. Can you hear me? My name is Joe Pica. I'm the architect and also the applicant. Alan did a fantastic job really describing everything, so I'm just going to keep it very, very short and then pass it on to Rodney, who will talk about some of the more the specific details. So as we discussed, we were coming up on, Father said, we're coming up on our 100-year anniversary. We were founded in 1927. They obviously built the first building, which was the elementary school, in 1937, and occupied the auditorium as their church until they built a new church in 1952. Then there was the only other extension that they had on the campus in 1961. They had 6 classrooms that they placed on the campus. And it was all the same architect, which is kind of fascinating. The project goals, as Father had said, and kind of reiterate here, is to provide a multi-purpose space for the Incarnation Church, and that encourages and fosters interaction and creates a welcoming environment to interact amongst each other and to actually grow spiritually as well as socially. We are interested in maintaining the architecture context. Any building we would choose to put in, and one that we are proposing for the parish hall, will fit with exactly the existing context. We don't want it to look like we landed there. We actually want to look like we grew there and were born there. We are, in fact, upgrading existing facilities. That's a lot of this is deferred maintenance. We have the Glendale Water and Power, we have sewer, we have water upgrades. We were putting in bathrooms because obviously in the early 20th century, they weren't really providing enough fixture units, and we need to do that, and we want to make it accessible from the outside for people who are attending Mass or going to this parish hall. We want to say that even though we're diminishing the number of parkings, we are improving the parking. We're first putting a lot of landscape in, which should just, improve the heat island effect of the asphalt. We're putting an extensive number of handicap parking spaces. We're putting an extensive number of EV parking spaces, and we're pre-wiring for future EV parking spaces. So we're, trying to be a little bit future-proof in that regard. We wanted to create a useful landscape and hardscape area. We basically are in a sea of asphalt right now, and it's really important to create a community to have a place to gather when you're actually out of your car. And we want this garden place to be both intimate and be able to be occupied by a number of people, say, before or after a service. And of course, the whole project is about emphasizing and encouraging community and environment and leading us through the next 100 years. And with that, I want to introduce Rodney.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, Mr. Halati, city staff, and members of the public. My name is Rodney Kahn. My offices are located here in the city of Glendale. And for my part of the presentation, I'm going to further emphasize what Mr. Lambert talked about in terms of the findings, and I also want to do some clarification of a few of the conditions of approval. So as it relates to the findings, as you've heard and we're very excited about, Incarnation Parish was founded in 1927, so we're coming up on our 100-year anniversary. In 1937, the parish school opened, so that's about 90 years ago. As it relates to the general plan, the Incarnation Parish, both the church and the school, are consistent with the community facilities element of the general plan that emphasizes the need to provide religious and educational facilities in the city of Glendale. The circulation element identifies the sections that we're at of Brand, Central, and Glen Oaks as arterial streets that are designed to carry and can accommodate the traffic generated from both the existing and the proposed buildings. Our traffic engineer is here. He conducted a VMT analysis, vehicle miles traveled, and traffic analysis for our project, which, as Mr. Lambert pointed out, we will have no traffic impacts on the surrounding community. Last, as it relates to this finding, having places of worship in mixed-use neighborhoods. We often talk about quality of life. This is a quality of life issue, often discussed in the general plan. It's essential to us, it's essential, we feel, to the community that this important parish be allowed to upgrade and improve to serve the needs of the community. The second item, and I have a handout for this one, which I'll give to you, related to the use and its associated structures not being detrimental to the public health. We know, we've seen that we're doing new landscaping, including trees and shrubs that face on the interior, but also face Brand Boulevard. Many of the buildings will be updated, incorporating more modern construction. And important to note, both the church and the school are very complementary to each other. They operate at different peak hours of the day, and also the school is closed on the weekend when the church is at its busiest. I have a list here of activities, a comprehensive list, and I'll give you a copy of that. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through each of the items on the list, but I will summarize some of the high points. In particular, as it relates to the school, there are approximately 500 students, and it consists of preschool of about 30 children and TK through 8th that can accommodate up to another 470. There's 35 faculty, 17 classrooms, and there's a classroom for each grade, and there's also specialty classrooms for art, for science, PE, Spanish, things like that. The regular school hours, they actually go from about 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. The 7 a.m. is for the before school care. The 3 to 6 is for after school care. The school itself is about between 8 and 3 p.m., and that's Monday through Friday. There are also a number of activities that take place in the afternoon, the evening, and the weekend, and I have a comprehensive list here. I'll just mention a few. There's team sports such as volleyball and basketball. There's Spanish club. There's choir practice. There's parent-teacher conferences. There's alumni events. Those are some of the activities that already are taking place. All of this list that I've given you, or that I'm going through, already occur out on the campus. As it relates to the church, obviously the church has both clergy and parish center staff. They have a number of mass times. During the weekday, it's 8:30 a.m. a mass and 5:30 p.m. is a mass. On Saturday, they have a 4 o'clock mass, and the busiest is obviously Sunday, where they have 7:30, 9, 10, noon, and 4. There are also special masses that meet once a month for Filipino and Spanish. Just for clarification, The weekday masses usually get in between about 50 to 100 participants, and then the average weekend mass, it's about 250 participants, and that gives you an idea. There's also there's confessions, there's funerals, there's weddings, there's Christmas midnight mass, special events, ministry meetings, et cetera. Nothing new is being added. This is all taking place right now. The school itself is fully accredited. It's from the Western Association of Schools and Colleges, and the curriculum is developed by the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, Department of Catholic Schools. The third item, and I'll try to be a little briefer, is related to the use and facilities not being adversely or conflicting with adjacent uses. And I liked Alan's historical references and his finding. I thought that was very interesting and complete. And the parish has been at this location, as we know, for many decades. Property in the area has already been developed. It's very developed. To the north of us, we have multifamily residential, we have commercial, we have a parking structure. To the south, we have a restaurant, parking structure, office building. East, buildings along Brand Boulevard, excuse me. Most are one story, but as you get further up the street, north on Brand, we have a hotel that's been built. We also have some high-rise residential further up North Brand. And to the west is another church, and there's some multifamily, and then at the corner is an office building. So normal development of surrounding property has already occurred over the last several years with the parish being present. We feel there's no evidence to indicate that any of our improvements would alter that. In fact, we feel we've had a very positive relationship with the community, with the neighbors, with the commercial businesses and residents in the area, and we would see that happening as we move forward. You mentioned the new improvements will be reviewed by the Design Review Board, so the architectural style, the scale, the massing, et cetera, will be reviewed again in a public arena, but we think our architects have done a very good job in the design of the buildings. The last item is adequate public and private facilities. Obviously, Glendale Water and Power, many of these utilities already serve the site, but they have the capacity for water and power to continue to serve it for the addition, for the new building as well. Also, other utilities such as gas, phone, and cable are already available to the site. It was mentioned about pickup and drop-off for the school. It will continue to take place on the site itself, which is very unique. Oftentimes, it's in the street or off-site at other schools, but in our case, we actually have the space to conduct that on-site. So vehicles enter off of Dryden Street, circulate, drop the children off on campus, and then exit onto Central Avenue. I'll conclude my remarks. Granting this conditional use permit request promotes the greater good of encouraging the presence of churches and schools for the many benefits they provide. Thank you for listening to me. I do have a couple of comments related to the conditions of approval, but I'll be happy to answer questions right now if you have them.
Sure thing, and thank you, Mr. Khan. Appreciate the breakdown of the sort of week in, week out operation of the church versus the school. Is going to be one of my questions. Appreciate the bigger picture sort of description and the goals of the master plan. So I can just ask a couple questions about the master plan before I open up for any additional public comment, if that sounds good. Sure. So all phases, basically all aspects of the master plan are included in this CUP request. That's sort of the totality of the master plan.
Yes, that's correct.
Understood. And then, so there's no increase in student enrollment that's contemplated in the master plan or sort of in the near or long term for the school.
Yes, that's correct. We're not looking at increasing the citizens, the students, or the population, the teachers, et cetera. Everything will be the same as is.
Okay.
It's kind of reconfiguring the uses, but the uses and the students already exist out there.
Understood. And so thank you for providing the breakdown of the student drop-off and pickup and confirming that will continue to take place entirely on the campus's property. So it seems to me like, the master plan is attempting or sort of encourages interaction between these two sort of halves of the campus, the school half and the, is that a fair characterization by kind of
Yes, that
fostering
is.
some of these connections?
Correct.
Okay, that's great. And could you sort of describe to me how on a typical weekday basis, how the eastern parking lot functions along with the western parking lot? Are they sort of fully independent? Are those gates opening between, are there cars going between the two parking lots generally? Or are they, if you could provide any sort of color in that regard?
Right. Can we go to, so on the easterly parking lot that enters in and off of Brand Boulevard, the smaller parking lot, that operates independent. There is a gate, there is a division between that, so that you're not circulating through to the larger parking lot. And as I mentioned in part of my presentation, in terms of pickup and drop-off, it actually, they start queuing or loading, if you will, coming in off of Dryden Street, which is to the north, and they traverse, there's a certain kind of zigzag way they do it, where they drop them off. And then on Central Avenue, which is to the west, you see there's a gate down to the south. That's where they exit in terms of circulation. So it's not all the way through our passage. One is independent of the other.
Okay. And you're closing off part of that southerly drive aisle and to expand the western playground a little bit further up to the north. Does that affect the queuing or the operation of the pickup drop-off of the students, or do they not even go that far south?
It won't impact that at all. In fact, what we're trying to do in terms of just keeping things in that large parking lot as is, because it functions very well now. It's also used as a playground.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that that continues to be used that way. And then to the easterly parking lot, that's where, as it was pointed out, we can do improvements. We could bring in ADA parking spaces, EV parking spaces, landscaping, et cetera. And all of that has been analyzed by our traffic engineer as well.
Very good. And so for the new Parish Center building, congratulations. That's really exciting for a faith campus like this to have the opportunity to propose a new building and sort of rethink the way things work. So, you already have an auditorium in the school building A. You obviously have the church chambers, the nave, and the altar. Can you sort of describe to me how the church envisions the new parish building functioning sort of as a gathering space, which was sort of described earlier in the presentation, how it will be used in addition to these existing assembly spaces that the church already has?
Certainly will. I would attempt to do it, but I think Joe Pica could do a much better job.
Sure thing.
So I'm gonna
Okay,
defer
very
to
good.
him.
Thanks.
So the parish center itself, the new parish center itself, really kind of acts as a bit of a gathering place before and after masses. I mean, more than anything else, it would actually be a place on a regular Sunday where people could set up their booths for their various ministries. This is where the donuts are going to be served, things of that nature. It is also a formal room, so it can actually have approximately 200, banquet setting tables in the room itself for any events that they may have. And they do actually probably over the last 10 years, they've had, say, 50, 60 events that are of this kind of nature. Also, they have, after weddings, they have kind of receptions that occur in there, not necessarily the final reception, but a lot of receptions. It's a place where funerals, also they have receptions, if you want to use that word, afterwards, after the services. As opposed to the existing elementary school auditorium. The elementary school auditorium, or as we used to call it, the Cafe Gymatoria, is really very, very multi-purpose. It really was the original church when in 1937, but it's used by the school. To have the parish community go over into the elementary school on a Sunday, for example, would be a long distance, and it would cause us to have to open up large sections of the campus, and that's what happens now. We'd rather keep everyone kind of more consolidated, walking by it all the time, have an indoor-outdoor appearance, pavilion-like appearance. So that's really how this new facility fits in. It's definitely proximity.
Okay. And for the school, was it, in addition to the 2 classrooms that you're adding, could you just kind of provide a little color on that as well?
Okay, so the 2 classrooms we're adding are actually specialty classrooms. So they are specifically, there's going to be a music and and language in the same classroom, and art in its own classroom. And the reason is because those particular activities have things, let's just say, having to do with props, musical instruments. In the case of art, obviously, quite a bit of storage and whatever easels, whatever they may have in art. And you cannot do that really in a regular classroom setup and knock down and then go, say, on to spelling or whatever the next subject is. So we have a number of specialty classrooms. This is going to help us because we'll be able to expand that, and then each grade circulates through this. Okay. So, it's first grade would come through, say, 3 times a week through one or both. Yeah.
And is there a school use for the assembly room or the arcade envisioned for the new Parish Center building?
I mean, I guess they could come in and meet in there. There's no actual function that we have designated for that. It's the parish, it's for the parish mostly. But obviously, we would preclude them if they wanted to, say, get together and, have a discussion or have a lecture. I mean, that would be perfectly fine. But we haven't really thought of that as a primary function.
Okay, thanks. Very helpful. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I guess I just had a couple of questions about the VMT analysis. So the VMT analysis, Mr. Lamberg, was requested by staff. Is that right?
Affirmative. It was requested by, VMT was requested by our mobility division, Fred Zarabian? Zaraban, yes.
Okay. And have they weighed in on the analysis?
Not yet.
So just one question for the traffic engineer, because I reviewed the VMT analysis and the trip generation analysis. Seems like it concludes that the trip generation is going to be quite low from the new building. Just a quick clarifying question. So the IT land use for the new building was entered as a church land use, and sort of the calculations produced from there based on the model. If say that was there a different land use that could have been chosen, or could you have entered school for that new building? And do you think that the output would have been significantly different, just for sort of thinking about the use of the building as both school and church?
Sure. My name is John Bagdinian, JB Associates. We prepared the VMT analysis trip generation. To answer your question, ITE has specific land uses which is the standard in the industry we can use. For this project, there's a category that says a church, and then the definition that is in the IT includes not only the church function, but it also includes school, gathering, assembly hall. So it fits better with that ranking. If this was a school, there's a total different category. The assumption is this is an existing school, and there's a church. So to be conservative, we actually use the church rate, although it's not technically generating new trips. If this was a new restaurant or a new facility, you would argue that there is additional new trips. But it's an existing church. The assembly will be used for the trips that are already there. There's parishioners that go there. They're already there. They're just going to use that. So if we were to calculate, obviously, as a school, there will be a different trip generation. But under this category, it's already generated, we estimated 56 trips a day, which should be consistent with the function as it's going to operate as being proposed.
Okay, thanks. That's really helpful to hear how you
Okay.
sort of justify those assumptions. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. So I know that you wanted to leave some discussion about the conditions of approval. I guess before we go there, I'm wondering if there's any public comment or if there's any callers on the line. Okay, so now that the applicant has presented, I'll close that portion of the public hearing and open it up to public comment.
Okay, we will open to public comments. So I have on the line here, I'm gonna click the button here for, oh, here we go. So we have on the line Mr. Alexander Essayans. So Alexander Essayans, you have about 3 minutes, please.
Hi, good morning. I live in the neighborhood, and I'm glad to see the church making improvements to their property. I just wanted to point out a couple of things. Hopefully the applicant has considered kind of the more liberalized development and zoning standards in the state of California. If they wanted to put in some residential units, something like that. I believe that's much more feasible these days if they haven't considered it already. Given that a lot of this property looks like it's still going to be parking lots. Now, I imagine the large parking lot you may not want to develop. It's used for that carnival and can be used for other large events. So I can understand wanting to keep that. But that smaller parking lot, maybe you could look into developing that and having the parking underground, something like that, to make a better use of the land either now or in the future. But that's just point one. And then just point two, if part of this development you're making improvements to the property in general, there's that Metro bus stop on the south end of the property for the 92 bus. Has a couple very nice benches there, no sunshade for the rain or hot days. So if that's in the purview of the property owner, maybe they can consider putting in a nice bus shelter there. Besides that, just happy to see this happening. Wish you great luck on the project, and please develop that site to the max. Make best use of it using the new streamlined state laws and development standards. Go crazy. All right, thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And there are no other callers.
Very good. Okay, thank you, Mr. Lamberg. So you wanted to, we can use this time for rebuttal to sort of discuss some of the conditions. Didn't want to ask if the applicant has carefully reviewed all the conditions. Do you have any issues or concerns? And I had one specific question regarding condition number 15, but I'll go ahead and let you get started, Mr. Khan, and going to go from there.
Mr. Talati, thank you again. So the conditions, there were 30 conditions of approval. So the first one I want to talk about is the last condition of approval. So item number 30. And that states the authorization granted herein shall be valid for a period of 10 years until June 25th, 2035, at which time a reapplication must be made. As we've pointed out, the school's been operating there for the past 90 years. We're not increasing student enrollment. We're not changing land uses. We're not expanding in terms of activities. All the activities I gave you kind of summarized in that sheet. So we would ask that you reconsider putting a term on our approval. We've proven ourselves to be a good neighbor. We were a responsible member of the community, and we've never had a term limit imposed on us. So that's the first item I wanted to speak about. The second related to condition number 15, and it says that no after-hour use is permitted except routine cleanup. This includes but is not limited to private or promotional events, special events, excluding any activities which are issued film permits by the city. As I pointed out in my presentation, there are things such as that we currently have, which is at Christmas we have a midnight mass. There are Bible studies, there are ministry meetings in the evenings. There are a number of activities. All of these are already taking place on the campus. So I want to clarify that what exactly that no after-hour use is permitted, what would that mean? Okay? And then the last clarification or condition is number 18. And that specifically states that the facilities shall not be rented, leased, or otherwise occupied for purposes not specified. I want to make sure that the submittal I gave you for the list of activities that are comprehensive and list what takes place out on the campus now, I want to make sure they're specified so that we would not be leaving something out that we already are doing. So those were the three conditions or clarifications that I was hoping to get here today.
Understood. I note all your questions. I also was going to ask about the after hours, no after hours uses permitted. And then also wanted to suggest another thought on condition number 19. The premises shall host events primarily for parishioners, and I'd also think for students and families would be under that scope and that definition. I wouldn't want it to be overly limiting on who can use the campus. And then we didn't really chat very much about the carnivals, and I didn't see it listed on your list of specified uses. Not having too much familiarity, I understand they're very popular and fun. If you could just briefly describe them for the record and kind of how it fits into these specified activities, just so I can get a full sense of the activities, and again, to kind of augment this comprehensive list that you've provided to me.
Sure. I do think we have it listed, maybe I'll try to find it, but if we could have, Deacon Morgan can speak better to that.
Very good.
Deacon Morgan, please state your full name as well, please.
Good morning. My name is Michael Morgan, and I'm the parish manager. And I'm here to describe what the carnival is. The carnival is something that's kind of now become institutional to the Incarnation community. It has been going on for, I believe, 10 years, maybe even 12. And it's a huge community builder that draws a number of people to the community every summer, and people actually look forward to having this event to the community. So we really want to continue that on just for the community building aspect of it and continuing to welcome more people into our parish. And of course, it's also a fundraiser for the parish as well. And it goes on for the Father's Day weekend, the first weekend traditionally like it kicks off summer. It's limited to the evenings, so it's really not impacting anything during the daytime. And then we also limit the hours in the evening as well. So the latest it's ever opened is 10:30. It's our latest hour for operation. So not to make noise or cause any chaos in the area there. So, and as well, I think you know that we provide adequate security for the event, and it's very well managed. And it's been very successful over the years.
Very good. Thanks for that summary. So I'm glad we have that sort of in the record as sort of part of what the church does and something that'll continue doing, should the CUP be approved. So I appreciate that detail. Thank you.
And then I apologize, if you haven't given us a speaker's card, could you please fill one out and give it
Sure,
to us
I'll
before you
fill
leave?
one out.
Thanks.
Just for clarification, it is listed, it's the 15th item on the miscellaneous church events, and it says Annual Father's Day Weekend Carnival.
There it is. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that exhausts my question. I think I have a good understanding of the project and the proposal and how the proposal relates to the CUP findings. So I'm going to take the case under submission. As I noted, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and all interested parties. And the date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. That record of decision will also be posted online on the Planning Division website. So absent anything else that the applicant would like to rebut or add, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 10:23 a.m. On June 25th. And again, thank everyone for being here and for describing this exciting project to me. And thank you to staff as well for the thorough presentation and all of your assistance. So we'll wrap it up. Thank you.
Thank you.